Welcome to the Pet Pawcast. I'm your host, Dr. Roberta Westbrook, and we're here at the Campus for All Animals, the Houston SPCA. So today we are going to talk about how to keep you and your pets prepared for this upcoming hurricane season. We are moving into summer, and summer means that we are moving into hurricane season. We want you to be prepared. We want you to be ready if the unfortunate event happens that you need to evacuate. We want you to learn how you can be safe and how you can keep your pets safe as well and take them with you in the event that you have to leave your home. So think of all your questions that you have about being prepared this hurricane season. Put those in the chat. I'll see if I can help you get some of those questions answered. And in the meantime, I want to introduce you to our pet of the week, whose name is Lucky. Lucky is about a 1-year dog. He has a lot of energy, but as you can see, he knows a lot of behavior tricks and manners as well. He knows how to sit, he knows how to lay down, and he particularly loves to play with toys. He was just having a little ball with himself, playing with the toys. So he would make a family a really, really good pet, particularly if you're an active family. Maybe you like hiking, maybe you go to the dog park or want to go to the dog park several times a week. Lucky would love to join you. He's a great companion. So bring your friends on down, bring your family down, come to our adoption center. Every day we're open from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. There's no appointment necessary. You can come in and see all the dogs, cats, puppies, and kittens that we have available and see if one of them would make a wonderful family pet for you. Okay, well, let's get started because we want to make sure that we can give you some information about how to get ready to travel with your pet this upcoming season. So it's not just about being prepared for yourself. We want to make sure that we put a kit together for our pets. So let's start with one of the main things. If you're going to need to evacuate your home and travel with your pet, one of the main things that you're going to need is a travel carrier. You need something to carry your pet in or to secure your pet in no matter where you are going to stay. So we have a few examples over here of crates. One is a little bit smaller one that we can use for cats if you're going to be traveling with a cat. And we have a much larger one that can fit dogs up to about 50 pounds. We certainly do have crates that are bigger than that will fit larger dogs. But it's important to think about, if you're traveling with your pet, how you're going to secure them, where are they going to sleep, and having a crate ready is important. Which means if your pet is not crate trained and they're not used to traveling in a crate or sleeping in a crate, now's the time to start training them. Now's the time to start buying that crate. Make sure the crate is large enough for your pet to lie down comfortably and to stand up fully and to be able to turn around. You also want that crate to be able to fit a food and water bowl in comfortably. So once you have the appropriate size crate, you want to make sure that your pets are comfortable going inside them. That means leaving them out in your living room, leaving them out in the open, and making sure that your pet has freedom to go in and out of the crate. You may offer them treats when they're in the crate. You may offer their meals in the crate. You want to make the crate a really fun place for them to be part of their kind of daily routine. So crate training is great. As you can see, Lucky's having a wonderful time with his toys. So part of traveling with your pet means not only having a crate, but taking some things that are going to allow them to have some fun too. So that might mean toys, chew toys. That might mean some treats for them. So if they have a favorite toy that they love to carry around that gives them comfort, making sure that you have that available is going to be key as well. So now we've got a crate. We've got some toys for them. Again, your pets have to eat and drink. So make sure that part of your travel preparedness kit for your pet includes at least a 2-week supply of food. So that means having some maybe dry kibble and some canned food available to feed your pet. If you're taking canned food, remember to take a can opener. If it's not the kind that has a lift cap like this, you're gonna need a can opener to get those cans open, so make sure you have one and you travel with one. Canned food might be a good thing to bring with you in your pet preparedness kit because it has more moisture in it. So if you don't have access to water, your pets can get some moisture through the canned food. But not only that, if your pet is nervous and they are kind of iffy about eating, sometimes canned food makes them more likely to eat when they are nervous. And so you want to make sure that you keep their nutrition up. So now we've got our crate, our appropriate size crate. We've got some toys to keep them comfortable. we've got food, and we need water bowls to carry water in. So if you need a water bowl, you can have a standard water bowl, but you can also purchase at your local pet supply company these collapsible bowls. So this is like a collapsible bowl that you can put food and water in if you have access to it. If you are in an area or you're concerned about having access to drinkable water, please make sure that you're bringing bottled water with you for yourself and enough for your pets in case you don't have access to water. Okay, that was a great place to start. Does anyone else have any questions about pet preparedness?
So somebody asked, can my pet stay with me if I go to a public evacuation shelter?
This is a great question. So now that we're at the beginning of summer and hurricane season, now's the time to start planning where you might be able to stay. So there's a couple of things you want to do. If you're going to be evacuating and you're sort of planning ahead, maybe plan out places that you might want to go. Are you going to go, to a neighboring city or to another state? And do you have an idea about the area? If so, you can contact local hotels, Airbnbs, wherever you think you might want to stay, and see if they allow pets. But if it's an emergency situation, you're having to evacuate last minute, and maybe you're just going to a public shelter, maybe a temporary shelter. Usually, those shelters will put out communication about whether or not they allow pets to stay with you. And it's different in different cities. So, and it's different depending on the evacuation shelter. So you want to make sure, look at the news, look at the emergency response teams, and see what they're telling you about whether or not they allow you to bring your pets. They may have size limits, in which case you may have to come up with another plan. So what is that other plan? It's always a good idea to make a plan with another family member or friend that may be able to help you with pet care in the event that you're not able to do it. So if you're not able to take your pets, or something happens, it's really good to have like a buddy system where you have another family member or a friend, maybe they have pets too. Maybe you guys can come up with an arrangement such that if one person is unable to get to their pets, the other person can help out, and vice versa. So this would be something to start setting up sooner rather than later, so that in the nick of time, you don't have to come up with these plans last minute.
Do shelters require any type of vaccinations or making sure that they're up to date on rabies?
Always make sure that if you're traveling with your pet, particularly if you're going to be evacuating or having to do emergency boarding, that you carry in your pet preparedness kit a copy of your pet's updated vaccinations. So you want to print out a copy. So you might think, well, I can get to these records online. I have access online. But if you're in an area that doesn't have internet or Wi-Fi, or power goes out, your phone goes dead, you're not going to be able to get to those records. So having a printed hard copy that tells information about your pet, a description, maybe microchip information if your pet is microchip, and vaccine records. Make sure you have that in a secure waterproof bag so that it doesn't get ruined. But this will help to protect your pet from diseases, and it will help to keep other people's pets safe as well.
If somebody gets separated from their pet, how can they be reunited?
That's a great question. In an emergency situation, unfortunately, these things can happen where pets get separated from their owners, and it can be really difficult to try to get pets reunited with their family. One thing that makes it easier is to make sure that your pet has proper identification, and that can be in several different ways. One way is to make sure that your pet has a collar with a tag. And on that tag, you want to make sure that it has not only the pet's name, but your name as the pet parent, and a contact phone number for you. So this is one simple way that you can potentially be reunited with your pet. Someone can call you. But the best way, a way that's not going to get lost or destroyed if this collar comes out, is to have your pet microchipped. So a microchip is a tiny little chip that gets implanted under the skin of your pet, just between the shoulder blades on their back there. And this microchip is electronically attached to a number. And that number is unique to your pet and your pet only. That number is in a national registry, and that number is linked to you and your phone number and your address. So if your pet ever gets lost, animal shelters veterinary hospitals, clinics, they all have what's called a microchip scanner. A microchip scanner is a piece of electronic equipment that we can use to scan your dog or your cat for a microchip. That scanner will pop up a number, and we can use that number to search the national database and get your information and reunite you with your pet. It's a very effective way to reunite families with their lost pets, and it can happen right away. It can happen in a matter of days, hours, minutes. So it's a great thing to do. Talk to your family veterinarian about getting your pet a microchip and whether or not it's the best thing for your pet.
And how can I confirm if my microchip is registered?
So number one, you want to make sure that your pet has a microchip and that it's functioning. So I would say go into your family veterinary hospital. Tell them that you just want to make sure your pet's microchip is able to be detected and that it's working, and they can quickly scan your pet for the microchip. They will get the number. They will call the national registry and make sure that your pet has the accurate information attached to you. And if you want to call yourself, you can certainly do that. So if you have your pet's microchip number, oftentimes it's on a little tag that you would have gotten at the time that your pet was microchipped. If you have your pet's microchip number, you can type that into Google and it can direct you to the microchip company, and you can call that company and make sure that your information is updated.
My another question is, my dog gets really bad anxiety during storms. Is there anything I can do to help her?
If your pet gets anxiety during storms, then what you can do is contact your family veterinarian now, before the storms happen, before you're in a crisis situation, and talk to your family veterinarian about the medication that's available and most appropriate for your pet to keep them calm and take the edge off during these stressful situations. There are plenty of options out there, but they can vary according to what is necessary for your pet and the level of anxiety that he or she displays. But there are certainly some over-the-counter options. There are some prescription options, but always contact your family veterinarian about what's best.
And what are some tips if we have to stay in place?
If you have to stay in place and you're not able to evacuate your home, but you know that there is a storm coming, number one, keep your pet safe by bringing them inside with you. So if your pet is outside, you don't want to leave them outside, and you certainly don't want to leave them outside tethered up. Because if they're tethered and they're outside and it begins to flood, your pet may not be able to escape. So the best thing is to bring them inside with you. And if you need to find a way to elevate, then you can do that. If you have a second story floor, or maybe you have an attic where you guys can stay above the water, that would be the best thing to do. But never leave your pet alone outside, and keep them safe inside.
Somebody asked, my dog can seem unfriendly in new situations. How can I ensure the safety of everybody?
That's a great question. It's really stressful to have to evacuate. There's going to be lots of noises, lots of new people, lots of distractions, and sometimes that can make pets very nervous. Again, contacting your family veterinarian to see if there's some medication that may help, particularly if you know your pet already has high levels of anxiety and stress. This might be something good to take with you. And while we're on that, making sure that you have all of your pet's medications, at least a 2-week supply, is going to be key as well. Keep those medications. But if your pet is around new people and they seem particularly nervous, it's not a bad idea to let people around you know not to reach out and pet your dog or your cat. You can gently let people know that your pet is not one that should be pet. If you have a dog, you may be able to get a basket muzzle. So a muzzle is one that you can put over their mouth that still allows them to breathe normally, to function normally, but will protect anyone from bites. So those are called basket muzzles. They're very open and they don't hold the mouth tightly closed. This might be something that you want to try if you are concerned that your pet could become nervous and a fear biter in stressful situations.
You mentioned having medications. What else can we have in our first aid kit?
Yeah, so medications along with your medical records, and then you may want to have something to do minor first aid. So let's say you're outside, you're trying to evacuate. Sometimes there's hazards on the ground. Sometimes your pets can get small cuts or injuries going through fences or stepping on glass. You may want to have some sort of bandage material here, having some antibiotic ointment, and vet wrap to keep the bandage on would be helpful. So they make pet first aid kits, and you can go to your local animal hospital. But having like a little sterile gauze pad that you can put, this is just a little sterile gauze pad that if your pet has a cut, that you can put this over the cut, and then you can use bandage material like we have here to wrap it on your pet's paw or toe or tail, and that, if I can get it out here, that will help keep your pet safe. So this is very stretchy. It sticks to itself, so you don't necessarily have to have tape, but you could put this bandage over the cut, and you could bandage your pet's paw like so. And then this, you may need some scissors, but this usually sticks to itself, and then you are good to go. Having some scissors available in your first aid kit like we have in this one is also helpful. So you can cut that, and you can have a little bandage. Really quick and very comfortable for your pet, and it will do the job until you can get to a veterinarian.
Somebody asked, if my pet is in pain, are there any medications that are safe to give to relieve pain?
So I would say if your pet is in pain, I would not give any over-the-counter medications that would typically be used for people. So if you're in pain, you can get, acetaminophen, or you can get ibuprofen. These are typically not safe for pets, and you need something that is a prescription and that's approved for use in dogs and or cats. So the best thing to do is to try to use other ways to keep your pet comfortable and out of pain. That is providing them with food, water, comfort, love. If you can bandage them, do that. Blankets, keeping them, hi sweetie pie, hi Lucky, keeping them very comfortable that way, and that will be the best thing to do. But do not give over-the-counter medications. Always contact your family veterinarian in an emergency situation.
And do vets' offices usually stay open during emergencies?
It depends on how severe the emergency is. So, and it depends on how that emergency is affecting your veterinarian's clinic. So certainly in times of flood, it could be that the veterinarian and their staff may not be able to get to the hospital, or people may not be able to get in. So it does depend on the emergency and how the hospital is being affected, but always call, or if possible, check online, the website, and see if they have a change in hours or their services during these emergency situations.
Somebody asked, is there anything I can do for my neighborhood stray pets?
Oh, that's a great question. So there's a population of animals out there that don't have people to take care of them on a regular basis. And so in these emergency situations, sometimes they can be forgotten about. If you're evacuating, sometimes it may be helpful to put some food and water out for these animals. But, animals are very resourceful, and they are going to do the best that they can to find shelter for themselves and get themselves somewhere safe. But setting out some food and water for them is not a bad thing to try at all. It may help them, particularly when they get desperate and can't find food.
And what can I do if I find an animal during a disaster?
If you find an animal during a disaster and you are able to care for the animal and you're able to take that animal in, then you can certainly do that. You're going to need to make sure that you have the adequate supplies to do that well. So we want you to be able to take care of the pet well. So that means having a collar, as we mentioned before, having a leash so that you can keep track of the animal, and hopefully having a carrier that you can always put the animal in for their comfort and for their safety. Once you find the animal, and as soon as you can, get the animal to a veterinary hospital or to an animal shelter so that we can check the pet to see if they have a microchip, because this pet could be lost and looking for their family. If they have a microchip, we may be able to find their family and reunite them. But if you're able to provide a temporary home, temporary safety for a pet that you find during an emergency situation, we appreciate you doing that and taking that pet in. It's a wonderful thing to do. Well, we've got lots of things here for you today. Make sure, again, just to recap, it's the beginning of hurricane season. Now's the time to be prepared. We'll remind you of this throughout the summer. We won't let you forget. We'll remind you to get your pet preparedness kit ready. That means having a crate. That means having a collar and a leash and identification for your pet. That means making sure your pet has up-to-date vaccine records, medication, food, water, and a nice comfortable bed to sleep in. But most of all, your pets need you. So what that means is, if it's possible, at all possible, make plans to take your pet with you during these emergencies. Call ahead, make a plan for where you might be able to evacuate, and make sure that your pet will be welcome wherever you are. Well, I thank you for joining us, as always, every Friday on the Pet Pawcast. Please come on down and visit with us. We've got lots of things going on. We're saving lots of lives every day here. One of the things that we're spending time on is our 24-hour kitten nursery. It's kitten season, and we've got lots of baby kittens who've been abandoned or who don't have a mom. And you can help us out by becoming a foster and helping us to raise these kittens until they're healthy enough and big enough to find homes on their own. If you're interested in our foster program or in our volunteer program, please go to HoustonSPCA.org and click on that foster tab and try to become a foster. It's very rewarding. You help us save lives, and it's a way that you can be a part of our extended family. So thank you again. We welcome you down to our shelter, and hopefully we'll see you soon, and we'll definitely see you next week.